Hi, everybody. It's meteorologist Joe Chaffee. We have a lot going on tonight with this weather front that's moving on through, and you can see here on the radar shot. This is a lot of this is heavy snow that's occurring over parts of northeastern Pennsylvania and into northern New Jersey. We've also had a lot of reports of thunder snow with heavy snow, sleet, lightning, thunder throughout many of the northwestern New Jersey counties. Sleet down as far south as Mercer County. Some of the radar echoes even indicating some sleet or wet snow occurring in some of the southern counties. So this is quite a shot of cold air, and this front is really producing this narrow band of precipitation that is now turned into heavy snow, and it's moving through New York City, where there's reports of sleet and probably some wet snow in the mix as well. And this is all going to swing up eventually into the Hudson Valley and western Connecticut and make its way into upstate New York, where the areas around the Adirondacks are going to do quite well with this later on tonight and during the day on Sunday. Let me show you the surface map that what's happening. We actually have low pressure that's developing right about here. It appears to me anyway, just off the south shore of Long Island. And look at the temperatures, which are still in the 50s across Long Island, Connecticut, and also on up into parts of Massachusetts. Now, you see the 40s here. That's because of the wind coming in from the northeast. Just to the west, where the winds have gone northwesterly, we're seeing temperatures dropping rapidly into the low and middle 30s, and this is where the area of heavy snow is. So we're going to work through that during the next 3 or 4 hours as that lifts up to the northeast, and then we're going to see what happens with regards to the lake effect snows, because that's going to be the next thing that gets underway. Here's the NAM surface map. And the NAM did a really good job with this. You know, a few days ago, models were trying to show a low developing just south of the south shore of Long Island. Then they kind of backed away from the idea, and then all of a sudden, at the last minute, they went back to where the original solution was in the first place. And you can see what happens as we go through the night and into early Sunday morning, 7, 8 o'clock Sunday morning. And now the cold air starts to really establish itself in areas in upstate New York and through much of southern Vermont, western Massachusetts, and northwestern Connecticut. The darker blues here would indicate heavy snows, and we also start getting into some of the lake effect that really takes hold as that low moves up into Maine and intensifies. And then you see most of the lake effect snows that go on throughout western New York. Some areas are going to get a foot plus out of this. Now, for the areas to the south in Pennsylvania, as you get down into northern New Jersey, and the Hudson Valley and along the coast, this is going to be more on the order of snow shower activity that goes on. And I suppose if there's a heavier snow shower, that you could see the ground whitened up in a few spots, but that would be about the absolute most. And this continues, by the way, into Monday until the low finally starts to pull away up into Canada, and then we start to gradually get high pressure building in for Tuesday and Wednesday. We are done with above normal temperatures, in my view. We're going to see below normal temperatures now for the rest of the month. We are okay through Wednesday. So if you're traveling anywhere up and down the East Coast, you should be fine. Some showers down in Florida. The weather will be calming down in the Northeast as well. So if you're driving inside of, say, 200 or 300 miles, you're going to be okay. If you're flying into the Midwest, there is going to be rain going on there with some snows as you get up to northern Michigan, into the upper peninsula, and then back over into parts of Minnesota as this next low pressure center goes by. And let me take you through that, because we can kind of judge what's going to happen with regards to Thanksgiving Day. That low goes on the GFS anyway into central Michigan, and what happens is it weakens, and then gradually we're going to see another low develop along the New Jersey coast. So Thanksgiving Day in the Northeast looks to me like a chilly rain with some snows if you go way north, but not a whole lot. And then that low pulls out, and then as we go into Friday and next weekend, it's colder air because high pressure is building down from eastern Canada, and that's where to keep much of the eastern part of the United States cold with below normal temperatures. In fact, next weekend it sends out a weak low, and you can see it actually even produces some snow back through the Carolina mountains and also maybe some much needed rain may finally get into this area, which has been dealing with their drought and the fires. So this change in the overall pattern is potentially good news. We'll just have to see how the longer term pattern plays out. And I just want to show you the upper air with all this. Let me just change regions. We won't look at the hemispheric, but we'll look at this. And let me put the jet stream on. Look at what this is. As this is a result of pressures rising up on the polar regions. The entire jet stream pattern gets displaced well to the south, and you can see it here. Okay, and with the ridge disappearing in the east, that's going to mean for colder than normal temperatures beginning Sunday and then lasting through the rest of the month, in my view. The jet is way, way to the south. Now, the key to what happens going forward in terms of precipitation is whether these troughs that come in from the west, and there's a few of them running around, what happens to them as they approach the east coast, because that's going to be key. You got one here. Here's another one. It was straight flow out from the Pacific, and the jet is so far south, and up to the north, you have higher pressures actually, relatively speaking, up in Canada and up toward the poles. So this is, I think, going to be the dominating feature as we go forward during the next several weeks. And I also believe at some point, I think there's going to be some sort of snow threat in the next several weeks in the eastern state, along the coastal part of the eastern states. And just to show you on the temperature profile here, here we go. We are below normal Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Kind of gets a little back to normal, or perhaps a shade above for one day, and then it's slightly below to below normal going into the week after Thanksgiving and beyond. So this is going to be an interesting pattern going forward, and it'll be fascinating to see how this all plays out. So I've got some posts up on the website, meteorologistjoechaffee.com, so do check them out. You can see what's going on currently, and during the day Sunday I will put together a more complicated long-range post and video and really get into the meat of things and see what's going on. So have a great Sunday and a great rest of your weekend.